I am a musician. I am a mortician. You can be you and be unapologetically you. 3 random facts today. You know what 3 random facts are going to be about? They're going to be about me, yours truly. It was a year of bullying by a teacher, and she was the worst teacher in the world. But there was this guy, unbeknownst to me, who'd written a letter anonymously, a student, a fellow classmate, because they were watching this teacher treat me poorly. But I was pretty good, and I could have been great, but I so chose the road less traveled. But speaking of funeral homes, let's talk about some oopsies. We don't ever talk about the oopsies, but if you go to a funeral home establishment, you have your forward-facing part of the funeral homes, and you go in the front doors, and then you have, of course, your public restrooms, and maybe there's a family lounge, obviously the chapel or visitation room where the deceased loved one is. This is the oops grandma incident. A family arrived at the funeral home to pay their respects to their beloved Nana, who had passed away peacefully. And everything seemed normal until someone noticed that the lady in the casket didn't look quite right. The family tried to convince themselves it was just the embalming process, but then someone whispered, "This isn't Nana." Panic ensued as staff quickly realized they had placed another woman from a service scheduled later that week in the visitation room. The director was mortified, but the family surprisingly took it well, joking, "Well, she looks peaceful at least." This unfolds during a visitation when a funeral director noticed the grieving widow sitting alone and offered to bring her a cup of coffee. While walking up to her, the funeral director, tripped on the corner of the rug, launching the coffee into the air. The hot liquid landed squarely in the deceased's casket. The widow gasped before laughing, saying, "I guess that's one way to make sure he's wide awake for the service." At a small funeral service, a pallbearer decided he wanted to make the procession extra special by singing Amazing Grace. However, his off-key rendition immediately caught everyone off guard. Other pallbearers stifled their laughter as he powered through multiple verses, unaware that his voice was echoing awkwardly throughout the room. Speak to them in the present, because they're very much still alive. They're just in a different room, in a different way. Did you know, if you go to Lowe's says about 80% of their returns are... funeral director misjudged the vibe at a particular visitation when they casually leaned into a family conversation and said, "Have you thought about cremation for next time? It's more economical." If you are ever there and you go up to a funeral director or a staff member at the funeral home and you say, "It's kind of hot in here. Can you turn it down a little bit, the thermostat?" And they say, "Sure." And they walk over to it and you look at them and they do this. They're like, "Is it good now?" And you're like, "Oh yeah." They didn't touch it. They did not touch it. It's a secret. Secrets don't make friends. They make babies. I lived above the funeral home for a very long time, obviously. And one of the things I would do is you go up in the kitchen for lunch, or obviously you're working visitation later and you go up for a dinner and then you go back down. I would have it all open. So whether it be in the morning, just some random time, I would have just totally the kitchen just in disarray. They come out of their rooms and their kitchen, the cabinet doors are all flung open. The utensil drawers are all pulled. The kitchen is just kind of strung about the way in which I would have done it. But I didn't do it. I did not even do it. I was not there. I heard people running up and down his hall, never feeling uneasy, but it's happened not once, but multiple times. Last year on this day, you made a video about a text I sent. I just wanted to let you know I passed the mortuary science program and rocked the national boards. I now have my license. Thank you for being such a strong influence in those who are wary about entering this field. I'm really working to build something, and I want the progressive funeral directors that want to have positive change, inclusion, and a community. You're never fully ready, and I am unapologetically working on being that, unapologetic about me and who I am and the passions I have and the knowledge that I have. I am the musician. I am the mortician. I am the father. I am a young man just trying to figure it the fuck out, this entrepreneur who really believes in meeting you where you are and showing up and providing content that I believe in. And that just so happens to be all over the place.